الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Brother Chairman, Brother Director, teaching staff and officers of the Restu Foundation, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eschatology is that branch of knowledge which studies the end of history. The Christians have a very highly developed branch of knowledge called Christian eschatology, and so do the Jews. But we in Islamic civilization have so far restricted ourselves to the study of the subject as part of the study of hadith, the age of fitan. We are now making an effort to try to build this new branch of knowledge as Islamic eschatology, because I believe the time is now ripe for that. But it will be far easier for you to understand if I say ilmu akhiru zaman. Eschatology is a big word. Our topic today is that Islamic eschatology is the key to understanding the modern strategic, political, economic, and monetary reality of the world. There are dots, D-O-T-S, dots in strategic affairs, like balance of military power in the world. There are dots in political affairs, in economic affairs, in monetary affairs. And we say that it is with eschatology that we can connect the dots. It's like the stars in the sky above. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declares in the Quran, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح إلى آخر الآية. And we have surely adorned, made beautiful the sama ad-dunya with lamps. Why does he use the word lamp for a star? The stars twinkle, they give starlight, it's nice and pretty, but Allah speaks of them as lamps. And nothing happens in the Quran by accident. There must be a reason why He has described the stars in the sky as lamps. For the untrained eye, the one who simply goes to work in the morning facing morning traffic, and then come back home in the evening facing evening traffic, and then has biryani for dinner, and sits down and watches television until it's time for sleep. For him, they will always remain just stars which are twinkling, nothing more. It's pretty, that's all. They'll never become lamps. But for the astronomer, for the one who is sailing a ship in the ocean and wants to know in which direction he must travel, Allah has put the stars up in the sky for a purpose, that they might function as lamps. A lamp gives you light with which to see, so you can know in which direction to walk or to travel. But in order for the lamps, in order for the stars to function as lamps, you've got to learn how to connect the dots. How are the stars connected to each other? And that requires effort. It requires study. It requires dedication. It requires sacrifice. Something which is in short supply today, because so many other things are there to take up our time. But we are here today at Yayasan Restu with the hope that we might touch your hearts, and that you will now recognize the verses of the Quran to be like the stars in the sky. And that when once you learn to recognize each verse of the Quran as a lamp, and you learn to connect them together, then Islamic eschatology will explain to you what's happening in the world today in terms of strategic affairs. Why is Russia being targeted now? Is this something which has just started with Ukraine? Or have they been planning for Russia for a long, long time now? What's happening in the world of politics? Is it by accident that the world is moving in the direction of submitting to one world government? Is this the end of the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam? What a shame. What a disgrace that the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, the world of Islam, about which Allah says, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم كنتم خير أمة أخرجت للناس تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. You are the best community raised for the sake of mankind, because you have a mission to stand up for what is right and just and virtuous, and to stand up against what is wrong and unjust and oppressive, and to do so based on faith in Allah. But now today, if you want to stand, you've got to get permission of the Security Council of the United Nations. If you want to stand up for, or you want to stand up against, it's Washington who has to approve. What a shame. What a disgrace for the ummah of Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And when will someone stand up and say so? The economic reality of the world today is that all of mankind is being brought into one world market. And it's a market of thieves. The Quraysh chose to wage economic war on Islam. And for 3 years, they imposed an economic boycott. Quraysh imposed, you must have heard the term, economic sanctions against Muslims. No one will buy from you, no one will sell to you. Did Islam ever respond to use trade as a weapon? Did Islam ever wage economic warfare ever? Is there anything in the Quran, anything in the Sunnah, even remotely resembling economic warfare? No. Islam gave to the world a free and a fair market. A market which does not recognize any special privileges for a Muslim over a non-Muslim. All are equal in the market. A market in which we are allowed to conduct trade even with the enemy. Islam has never prohibited us from conducting trade with the enemy. All that Islam has prohibited is when you are at war, you may not trade in weapons of war. Today, those who control the world economy gleefully, lustfully seek to impose economic sanctions as part of a strategy to bring down those who resist their rule. And the latest is now they're taking on Russia with economic sanctions. We say to you, compared to what Islam has offered to the world, you belong to the garbage bin. Ours is a world in which there is no economic warfare. Ours is a world in which we do not use trade and business to wage war. Ours is a world in which there is free trade, even with the enemy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran has ordered us to conduct trade and business in such a way that there is mutual satisfaction. إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً عَن تَرَادٍ مِّنكُمْ. This is what Islam has offered. And look at the rubbish that you are offering now with your latest threats to impose economic sanctions on Russia. Islam gave to the world money. Money which was real money. Money which had intrinsic value. The value of the money is inside the money. The money was created by Allah, not by George Soros. The value of the money can rise and fall based upon demand and supply in the market for gold and silver and so on. But these are natural forces.